Oh hey, didn't see you there. While you're here, you want to check out the hive? Hey, before we get started, I'd like to welcome you to the Lost.Outside YouTube channel. This is the first video on the channel. We're gonna do a full walk around on the hive. But I just want to let you know on this channel we're gonna do probably 3 different things. We're gonna do some camping, national forests, state parks, national parks, just see how far we can take this old camper. We're gonna do some DIYs on the camper, some mods. The reno's mainly done, but now we're in the fun stuff, the kind of cool techie maybe stuff we really don't need but really kind of want in a small package stuff. Also, we're gonna do some hikes, some ASMR style cooking on the trail, and see what we get into. But thanks for joining me. This is the hive. The hive is a 1975 Boler Honey Bee. It's a Canadian camper. You don't really see a whole lot of them in the States. You'll see the Scamps. The Scamp's actually a clone of the Boler, as well as the Casita. Those are both American companies. The Boler was actually Canadian. So you won't see very many of these in the States. I actually found this camper in a picture. My brother showed me a picture of a car. It's like a 65 Mustang in a guy's field. And I was like, yeah, that's pretty cool. It's kind of rough. But in the very back of that picture, there was that. Something like that, at least. It was a shell, basically. Rotted out frame, interior was all moldy. It was in bad shape, but I saw the shape of it and I was like, that's what I've been looking for. So I got into contact with the owner. He said he was willing to sell. No title, so I had to deal with that. He wanted $600. My job was to get it out of his yard. So we negotiated for a while. We went back and forth. I mean, it's always worth it trying to see if you can get something cheaper, right? So after a few days of negotiation, we settled right in the middle, exactly the price he asked for, and I was comfortable with that. If you want to see the acquisition of it, where we found it, how we pulled it out, and the condition of it was when we found it, and kind of the build until now, that's actually on the 5-Star Garage YouTube channel, and you might actually recognize this camper from that YouTube channel. But if you want to look at past videos, what it looked like before, stuff like that, that'd be the channel you would want to check it out on. I'll try to put some pictures and maybe some video so you can kind of get an idea of what it looked like before. But the majority of the video is going to be on that channel. I'll put a link down below so you can check out the playlist on that. So let me go ahead and pick you up. Let's kind of do a walk around here. So starting here on the outside, let's close this door real quick. Put new wheels and tires, new axle, whole new frame. I actually built the frame. Originally these frames are about 1/8 inch thick rectangular tubing, front to back, and then it has a drop section where the floor is. They're known to crack and they're kind of hard to repair because of that. It's just thin, and once it starts to corrode, it's gone. There's no repairing that. So I went ahead and did 3/16 all the way up front. Both sides are all 3/16 steel. It added about 80 pounds, I believe, to just the frame itself. So it was added weight, but I didn't want to deal with the frame flexing. I didn't want to deal with the frame deteriorating. I didn't want to have to baby the camper because the frame was light duty. Now the camper's light duty and the frame's heavy duty, so we'll go with that. I added a maxi-track awning. This is an 8x8 pull-out awning, manual. Very common with the overland scene. I think ARB might be the original of this style bagged awning. Maxi-track is actually a copy of it. But the good thing about this one is it accepts all the ARB accessories. For $100 versus I think it's $350, $300. I'd rather just go with this one. Actually, I don't know if you can see, but I have one right here on the van too. So I bought it for the van first, liked it, had to put one in the camper. This is actually a vent for the air condition. Inside I use a portable unit. It's not in there right now because we're like 39 degrees outside, so it's kind of cold. So no need for it to be out right now. So that's for the AC. I have 3 ports here, 3 power ports, a 110, a 12-volt cigarette lighter, and 2 USBs. That was kind of something that really helped, because I actually have a table that sits right here, and I put the 12-volt refrigerator cooler style underneath the table, and it plugs in right here to 110. That way I don't have to actually wear down my battery. I can run it off just the 110 that's coming from the campsite, if there's 110 at the campsite. But that actually was a big thing, and I can use the lights that go with the awning, or that attach to the awning. They'll plug in right here, so it's real convenient having power there. So that's really nice. Did the hold open on this side, and then we did a rock guard on the front. We'll work our way towards the back and the front. You'll see the rock guard a little bit better. But I think that's it for this side. So let's go around to the back. Put the original tire carrier back on. So that's original, but it is a new tire, new wheel. I added this. It's kind of, I don't know how to describe it. In the overland community, the name brand is a Trasharoo. And if you're familiar with that brand, you know what I use this for. But it's basically a heavy duty backpack that mounts to a tire. And inside we use, we have a fold up toilet, and on the side we'll have like a dry bag with toilet paper and stuff like that. I also put firewood in here. The big thing we use this for though, after the toilet comes out and all that kind of stuff, is I have like a 30-gallon heavy duty trash bag, or actually a roll of them, and we put that in here. So we use this as a trash can, which the Trasharoo is kind of used for anyway, but it works out really well. The trash is inside. Before we go to bed, we dump it all out here, and typically we'll just roll up the bag, zip up this, and it's fine. We haven't had any animals get into it. I have had issues where I did not close the top and animals decided they were going to take off with stuff. But if it's zipped up, I haven't had any issues. It does have drainage on the bottom, which is kind of nice. So, I don't know, that kind of works pretty well for what we need it for. And being that it's a really small camper, it's really hard to store a lot of stuff, especially stuff that you don't want inside. Toilet, you don't really want it inside. The firewood, for sure, you don't want inside. Trash, you don't want inside. So stuff like that, it's kind of nice to get it out of the way. And you'll see later on my tongue box is actually pretty small. So it's not like there's a lot of room to put extra stuff over there. So from there, we have the tail lights. I actually 3D printed these tail lights. I have the original tail lights. They're a wedding cake design, a tier design. And they're kind of hard to find, and they're not super cheap. So I really wanted to just save them. I don't know why, but I wanted to save them. And instead I printed out these 3D printed bullet style taillights. So I designed those, printed them out, and I think that was 2021 is when I printed those out, maybe 2022. They've been on there since, and they've faded a little bit, but no cracking, no brittleness, no nothing. So I'm really happy with those. It kind of gives it a cool old school look. I have the landing gear tucked underneath this bumper. So I have pretty good clearance back here, which is pretty nice. but from there, that's kind of the it for this side. So we'll walk right around this way. Not a whole lot going on this side. I did swap out the 30 amp plug that originally on here. It originally is a cord that's just attached to the breaker box inside. And then there's just basically a big hole here where you're just pulling the cord out. It has little fingers. I've read online that a lot of people have issues with the cold getting in because it's just a hole there, water getting in, but the big one was pests getting in, ants climbing the cord and going straight into your camper, stuff like that. So I wanted to do this style, which I guess is kind of a generator style. This is actually very similar to what I have on at my house to run run my house off of a portable generator. So I'm kind of familiar with these. So it just clicks in, it's sealed around. I don't have to worry about any of that. And because it's a twist and lock, you can't pull it out. So kid runs around and trips on it. It's gonna trip the kid, but it's not gonna pull it out of here. Only other thing we have on this side is we have this kick-ass portable privacy shelter. This made the biggest difference to me, I think, when it came to being able to go camping with my kids by myself and not having to have another adult there. Because my kids are smaller, when they need to decide they're going to go to the bathroom, it's very last minute. And for me to take one and run them down to the bathroom of the campground while the other little one decides he's going to stay, or force the other little one to go with us, it's kind of a pain. So having this on the backside of the camper with the toilet here, they just come around, they do what they need to do. Also, because when we do travel as a complete family with my wife, it's kind of hard to change in here when you have that many people, especially being that in the morning and all the blinds go up, all the window curtains go up, you can see straight through it, which is great for natural light, but there's nowhere for you to stand in there as an adult and change. So that kind of helps alleviate some of that. It's easy, it's there, that works for me. That's also kind of an overlandy thing. That's where I got that idea from, and that figured out what brand that was and all that kind of stuff. So that works out pretty good there. So I don't know how well you're gonna see over here. Pretty simple. We have a fold-away jack. We have two 6-gallon water jugs. Typically one's plenty. I can get 3 days, maybe 2 to 3 days off of one. The water bottles, the water containers we use inside are actually 5.3 gallon, I think. So these never actually get filled up all the way. But one of those 5.3 gallons will last me 2 to 3 days. We don't really use this thing for a whole lot, so we don't really need the two empty for gray water, but you never know. We could use them we could need them at some point. And I think we have filled them up once at a park or a campground that we couldn't dump at, and we had to carry them over to the next campground. It's kind of a pain in the butt, but we'll see. I have I think it's a 1960 Pepsi cooler. On the front, we use that as a tongue box. I thought it was kind of cool, goes with the vibe. It does kind of go with the vibe, but it is pretty small. So I guess you got to kind of take that into consideration. I think we're going to redo this front rack. I did put this rack on here too, but I think we're going to redo this, make it a 2-layer or something that will work better for our needs. But as of right now, this is kind of working. It is jam-packed full in there, and that works for now. So, only other thing here is I have 2 ports here, 2 SAE. I think these are SAE ports. One is a power out, so this goes straight from the house battery out, and the other one is a power in, where I plug in a solar panel. So they're labeled. One had a sticker on it that shows power out, and the other one's a solar panel sticker. The reason I have a power out is typically how we're using this camper before is that 12 volt refrigerator cooler that I was talking about that we put up front, it rides in the car, in the van. So it stays strapped down in the van, and we typically don't take it out unless we're going to be somewhere, or there's got to be a good reason to take it out. We need the extra seating in the back or something, but we typically don't take it out. And because of that, I plug in that cooler to this SAE port. So it's not plugged into the van anymore, and it's not plugged into a small power station or nothing like that. That way I know all the power draws coming off the house batteries. Haven't used the solar very much. I did test it. I think it's a Renogy 20 amp controller inside is what I put, and it works fine. It's just I have a glass solar panel, which does great with solar, brings in at capacity. It's just really hard to find a space for it in here, especially if you're bringing the whole family and all their gear. There's not a lot of room in this camper. So I haven't really been utilizing the solar panel very much, but we also have been staying at a lot of campgrounds, and there's typically a plug-in. So no real need right now for it, but we'll see. Hey, let's check out inside, okay? All right, so here we go. What do you think about the Hive? Pretty sweet, I know. Pretty excited about the direction this thing is going so far. A couple things that you probably didn't see or maybe not have noticed in the beauty shots of the interior specifically. The bunk beds each have their own fan and USB outlet, top and bottom, so they have their own airflow that they can control independently of each other. They can charge their own devices and be comfortable up there. So that's worked out really well. Below the bottom bunk, we have 3 storage compartments. One has the 12-volt fuse box, the battery charger, the solar charge controller, and a single 100 amp hour mini lithium battery with space for 2 additional 100 amp hour mini lithium batteries that we'll eventually upgrade to. In the kitchen, I just took the factory stainless steel sink and I powder coated it black to update the look a little bit. Down below where the 12-volt refrigerator was, the 3-way refrigerator that was there, it was all rusty. Took that out, and now that is a dog crate, so our pet can come with us camping. And then down here we have the 110 breaker box, the switch for the water pump, and a water pump dimmer on that switch, and then a battery monitor is down there as well. This camper originally came with a convertible dinette, where you would take the table and you would lower the table down and the cushions make a bed. So I redid all those cushions for the convertible dinette. I redid the table, epoxy top. It looks really, really good. But we realized that when you turn it into a bed, that those cushions shift at night. And we ended up putting a sheet over it to try to contain the cushions, and there was always a gap somewhere. Typically in the back, typically where my wife sleeps. So X that idea. We went to a permanent bed, solid 6-inch memory foam. We gained space underneath, a lot of storage underneath, because that's where the table leg was. The storage that was originally in the dinette on this side now has the water pump for the sink. It also has 2 5.3 gallon water bladders. So they collapse down to nothing. We typically don't travel with water in here. We fill up at the campsite, but we have the ability to travel with water if we needed to. Behind me, this dinette mainly just houses like camp tables, camp stoves, stuff like that. Or eventually I want to put an access panel on the outside to access this lower dinette storage from the outside. Being that it's mainly camping related stuff, to get chairs and get camp tables and stuff out that way would be nice. But these two areas are not areas that we access often. It's just mainly when we set up, grab the stuff, and then we don't really access them again. So for the floor, we went with an EVA foam boat decking. It's waterproof, it's soft on the feet, it's warm in the winter. I figured that was going to be a better choice than doing a laminate in such a small space. The curtains I have all the way around are actually made from 2 layers of canvas with a thick fleece between them, and then they're just sewn up with button snaps in the corners. In the front and rear windows, the male part of the button snap is actually glued into the fiberglass. So they snap into the fiberglass and they hold pretty tight against it. So there's not a whole lot of light leakage. And then on the side windows, the male version is actually screwed into the wooden window frame that I framed each side window in. So that works really good. I also use these, see over here better, leather craft store bracelets. They come in a pack of like 12. They already have snaps on them. They're made to practice or to do leather stamping. So they already come with the snaps. They're already raw leather. All you have to do is stain them. Well, all I did was stain them darker. And they work really well to hold up the curtains. Over here we have the closet. Typically we run a portable air conditioner in here. You can see the vents in the back. Right now we're in the middle of winter, so we're running the can of flame heater. This is a ventless fireplace heater. It was made for sailboats to heat the cabins. It runs off of a sterno or alcohol stoves, so they don't have to be vented. And then I put a wood fireplace fan on it, and that helps circulate the heat. That works out really, really well. It keeps it from being super hot above the heater. I also added a bifold door. It originally came with a solid plywood door, and actually this plywood door would open towards the bed, but I switched it and opened it towards the door. I remade it as a raised panel door to lighten the weight. After the first few camping trips, kind of realized that this door has to stay open if you're going to run a portable air conditioner in this closet. So just for air circulation, it has to stay open. When it's open all the way, this door actually blocks the front door. Now you can't come in or out without closing this door first, which would come out here. So you can come in and out. So I did a bifold door. There's a magnet that holds the bifolds together, so it can open and close as a single bifold. But I thought that was kind of cool little hack. It was working out really, really well for us so far. We also have a adjustable closet storage system in here, kind of the ones where you would see in the builder's grade homes. This has worked out really well. The trick to making this work is the shelf has to be the same exact length as the bracket is when the bracket is pushed into the adjustable railing here. If there's any slop in that, it's enough slop for this shelf to move back and forth and fall out. It also needs to be the same width as the inside of the cabinet, so there's no slop side and side. Otherwise, this system won't work. Figure out a different system. I know a lot of people use the IKEA system in theirs, where it's just bins. And that's what I originally was going to do, and I already had this, so I figured I'd try it. And it's actually worked out really, really well. Especially being that I put an AC unit in here. AC unit comes up to about here, and then this shelf. Well, when I'm running a heater in here, I can actually put a second shelf in here. And I typically do. I have multiple shelves and multiple brackets. So that works out for extra storage for the different seasons and stuff like that. One other thing with the closet, I know you can't see it, but on the top left-hand side, I have two switches. One is a porch light switch, and the second switch is actually an underglow switch. So this camper has underglow all the way around. It's orange. We typically only use the underglow at night. We just leave it on. We don't use that porch light. The porch light is too bright, and it's right in your face as you're coming in and out the door. The underglow is really nice. You can see it from a distance, but it's not in anybody's face. It's not obtrusive, and it looks cool as hell. So that's kind of cool. I'll put some shots in here because it's worth it. It's pretty sweet. Well, that's the Hive story till now. Click subscribe if you want to follow along with our projects or watch us get lost outside.